Hi, everyone. Welcome this afternoon. Today, we're here to talk about business intelligence, and we have three of the leading solutions in the space. So, just like to say welcome initially to our panelists, Johnny from DataSelf, Alexi from Zap, and Nima from Nectari. Welcome, gentlemen. And just a quick bit of housekeeping. All attendees are in listen-only mode. You will receive a copy of the slides at the end of the presentation, along with a copy of the recording. And we ask you to enter any of your questions into the chat window, and we will take those up at the end of the presentation. So now just a quick agenda for the day. We'll do a brief overview of business intelligence software. I will allow each of our panelists then to do an overview of their solutions and who they are, followed by some short product demos, and then we'll have time for that Q&A. So first of all, what is business intelligence? So this is the technology that transforms raw data into meaningful and useful information for business. As we all know today, there is no shortage of data. The real value and the trick is how you make it meaningful and useful. So why business intelligence? It's about informed decision making. So you can see the stats here. 72% of companies they're using this to benefit their improvements. The data-driven organizations, they're 23 times more likely to acquire customers. So really some powerful metrics here and really what the value is for that informed decision making. The improved efficiency and productivity. It reduces your time spent creating those reports and doing that analysis. The one report there, up to 50% of that time can be saved. 50%, 56% of our employees report improved productivity and savings. I mean, that's a fantastic statistic, and really something to bring to life the value of the business intelligence. And then finally, it's a competitive advantage. If you're not using it, chances are your competitors are. So if you're using a tool, you are 2.7 times more likely to outperform your peers in terms of revenue growth. So again, very powerful information. And why have we brought the three people here today? Quite simply, they are each tailored to the medium-sized business in Canada. They have integrations with existing systems. All three of them, are all highly cost-effective and ROI-rich solutions, and they're all feature-packed. So these are solutions that will scale and grow with you. It's not something you're going to use for 6 months or a year, and then you're going to need to find an additional tool. So now I just like to, again, we'll get into some of our panelists here. So first of all, Nectari. Nima, if you could just take us through a little bit about Nectari.
Yeah, for sure. Hi everyone, my name is Nima. I'm going to be talking about Nectari in particular for Sage Intacct. So this is the winning formula for advanced reporting. We can start off with the first slide, Steve. So Nectari is basically a BI solution that's been around for quite a long time. I'll give you some stats on that a bit later. Nectari is a fully integrated BI and data management solution that helps organizations like yourselves make informed decisions based on real-time data or almost real-time data or wherever you pull your data from. The goal of Nectari has been and always continues to be about empowering the user. So the end user themselves can be self-sufficient, can use an interface that is familiar to them, whether it's a web browser interface or a mobile interface or even an Excel add-in interface. So all encompassing, having access to all of that is the eliminating the need for multiple tools. Now, a little history about us in where we come from. We are in the next slide. You're going to see we are integrated with over 12 Sage product solutions. So in the Sage world, we're quite well known under the brand name SEI. For those who Sage Enterprise Intelligence have heard of us, maybe in the Sage 300 space, in the X3 space, and so on. And under the Intacct brand, we're known as Nectari. So over 300 partners around the world currently representing and selling and implementing the solution. Obviously, our partners, our close partnership with BAS is just one of the examples of some key strategic partners. We have customers across 60 different countries, obviously English, French, multi-language all served, and we have over 3,000 customers now as a milestone of our company. Going to the next slide and just two more before we pass it on. So when you go through a journey about selecting a BI, you need to understand that you need all-encompassing, everything included from start to finish, and not just one portion of it, right? So with Nectari, you're starting off with managing your data. So your data is coming from Sage Intacct, but realistically, it's also coming from other data sources, on-premise, legacy systems, your old Sage product, your new cloud, your new CRM cloud, your inventory system, your whatever the solution is. You need data management built into and not having to buy another solution. So having a BI and data management together is Nectari's strength. We also, after you get the data in, it's about gaining visibility and insight, getting access to your data in real time or load it into cubes in order to manage very high volumes of data, managing consolidations of data across everywhere, and pulling it all into one meaningful place. The end goal is that you get Nectari with out-of-the-box integration for Sage Intacct, out-of-the-box reports, dashboards, KPIs, and data models, which gives you a head start and a quick ROI. Next, empowering the user. It's not just enough to have a report, but rather the user being able to customize them and drag and drop and simple and easy to learn. So having an intuitive interface is a key mission of the Nectari software solution and our company. And you have over hundreds of visualizations available in English, French, Spanish, and multiple other languages should you need. And finally, it's to collaborate. You're a data-driven organization working with a BI, you should be able to easily share information with the colleagues and your team members to make decisions together and be aligned. And one final slide before we pass it on. Thank you. So why Nectari specifically for Sage Intacct? And we're going to see in the demo a little bit later, but its ease of use and flexibility is a key point. You can also embed Nectari directly in Sage Intacct. So you can work in your web interface, you can work on an Excel type interface, you can do all the customizations, and we'll see that together, but you can drill down to the granular level of data wherever it comes from, not just a summarized version. Also, it's already integrated with Intacct, meaning that your user-defined fields, your custom fields, all of which can be brought in or already connected. So all in all, you have a powerful multi-company, multi-entity, multi-currency BI solution plugged in and ready to go, and then easily customizable after that. So for Nectari, that's it for now, and then we'll wait for the demo.
Now, Alexi, if you could just walk us through ZapBI.
Thank you very much, the BAS team, for inviting us to this webinar. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alexi Nolatos. So we are from a company called Zap, and in the Sage space, we are actually known as a product called Sage Data Analytics. But for today's webinar, I'm going to be referring to us as Zap. So we were founded in 2001, where our development house is actually in Brisbane. And we're a provider of data analytics software. We have customers in over 45 countries, where we have basically 250 customers at the moment globally, with at least already, well, should I say, over half of that is already have adopted our cloud solution. So we do have this as a cloud solution, and we offer this as a software as a service. We have global operations with local staff and partners in various different countries. So in the UK, in fact, I'm actually based in South Africa, so I have an office with a team over there. We have offices in the US and obviously in Australia as well. Now, our software, what do? We are a software that automates data and streamlines reporting that is used by organizations of all different sizes. And we have basically pre-built solutions for Sage products like Sage 300, Sage X3, Sage 100, and as of recently also Sage Intacct. Now, fundamentally, what our product actually does is we're actually a data warehousing solution for the medium to small to medium size businesses. And what that means is basically is we take your data, we extract it into what we call a data warehouse. We do some modeling around that. So we do some data transformation, which is all pre-built. And then you can actually use a tool of your choice, for example. So let me see if I can click on this. This should bring up things like ZapBI Data Hub, where you can actually use our product to actually view the product. You can actually plug in tools like Power BI, or you can actually plug in tools like Excel, for example. The key thing is that you've got your data in the shape and form so that you can actually start using it for reporting. So what is our value proposition? First of all, if you look at businesses as of today, right now, what they're doing is they're taking a lot of their data and they're putting it into Excel. They're starting to manipulate the data, doing lookups, and a lot of time is actually spent doing that. So we're actually automating that process, and we're really freeing up over 20 hours monthly with customers at the moment, just being able to automate that whole process for them in a data warehouse. We also centralize your data, so meaning that we can connect to various different data sources. And as we go through a bit of a demo, I'll actually show you all various different data sources that we can connect to, and we bring it into what we call a unified data warehouse, and you can then start using that for that your reporting. And the final value proposition here is where you've got the structure to your data. So you've got now a single source of the truth that you can start trusting your data. You can start unlocking these business intelligence with confidence, and you also can secure your data where you can actually control who sees what data. So for businesses that are multi-company, multi-currency, multi-branch, for example, you can have one dashboard, and based on who you are and where you are, when you look at that dashboard, it will allow you to see only the data that you're allowed to see. So thank you very much. I think this is my final slide coming up here. So obviously, stay tuned for the demo. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Now, Johnny, DataSelf.
All right. So my name is Johnny Girardi. I'm DataSelf's founder and CEO. I was a software engineer in my early career, became a business person. And for the past 20 plus years, I've been helping mid-sized organizations using products like Sage Intacct, Sage 300, X3, and whatnot to create or develop their data-driven culture. I'm a big data geek. This is my license plate. It reads Data Geek. When I showed this license plate to my daughter, teenager daughter, she read Date a Geek. And I cracked up. I'm single. Yeah, that works. But the goal was really Data Geek. As a data geek, my introduction is a little bit more technical, primarily the business benefits of BI. When you look at different vendors, are very similar at a high level from a business standpoint. And I took a little bit more technical perspective. DataSelf offers two main different solutions. The first one is what we call a BI-based reporting solution. Is BI focused on traditional reporting plus analytics, dashboards, and whatnot. It's powered by a three-step process like the other two companies. We have also a data warehousing. Actually, we have we call a next generation data warehousing. It's powered by our own ETL tool, and we'll talk a little bit about it on the next slide. In behind the scenes, SQL Server is the place where we take your raw data from Sage, Intacct, 300, X3, whatnot, put in SQL, optimize the data, and then we connect with third-party tools to do the user interface. The most popular ones we support is Tableau, Power BI, and Excel. Most of our clients use one or two or three of these tools, but we also have some clients using other tools like Domo, Click, and whatnot. And third, if you decide to use Tableau, Power BI, or Excel, we have the biggest library of KPIs, reports, customizable reports and dashboards covering AP, AR, GL, project accounting, sales order, inventory, CRM opportunity. There's a lot of reports and dashboards that become alive with your data on day one. And that's the one of the solutions we sell, which is the BI-based solution. The next one is just data warehousing. We have many clients that are just focusing on next generation data warehousing. They already have their own reporting tools, their own reporting platforms, but they need to get the data out of their systems and massage and create a single version of the truth. And as I mentioned, we have the next generation data warehousing, and we'll talk more in the next slide. In a nutshell, like the other two companies, we also started 20 years ago or so. And for the first 12 years, we built an amazing BI solution. We started to support several products like Sage, dynamics and whatnot. And in 2017, we realized that the technology we designed in 2005 was becoming outdated. And then we decided to completely redesign our framework starting in 2017. So we started to support Cloud BI framework. So it's been almost 7, 8 years working with Cloud BI framework. Artificial intelligence will start to support Power BI, Tableau, and whatnot. And starting 2020, every solution we sell has a complete redesigned framework. Behind the scenes, we have what's called the next generation data warehousing. I'm not going to go into the details, but if you open the hood, you're going to see that the technology is open, is scalable, industry standard. It supports all the AI functionality that's coming out for enterprise around BI. So we also support the latest and greatest next generation AI machine learning. And again, we support an extensive library of different analytics tools, Tableau, Power BI, Excel, and whatnot. It's mainly a no-code, low-code, full-code approach. We have more than 400 sources that we support that require no code to integrate, not only Sage Intacct and Sage 300 and whatnot, but there's a lot of data sources you can bring to DataSelf without any coding. As I mentioned, main differentiator, no code, low code, full code. You don't need programmers to do amazing BI solutions. But if you do have complicated data problems, you have full access to the low code, full code to do those customizations. I always encourage people when you're investing into a new technology like BI, check all the vendors. We all have amazing solutions. Check all the vendors, ask them to open the hood and show behind the scenes how this will support you in the next 2, 5, 10, 20 years. And again, in our case, because we use next generation modern technology, we hope you'll see in ours a differentiator to be partnered with. And I'll show a little bit of that when I go to the product presentation.
Great, Johnny. And with that, Nima, I'd like to invite you back, and we'll make you a presenter, and you can walk us through a brief demo of the Nectari solution.
Perfect. All right, so I went ahead and already logged in. We're going to get right into it. This is the Nectari interface, and what you're going to see here, first and foremost, is our command center. So when we say we have integration with Sage Intacct, it means that we have data models upon data models of integrated plug and play dashboards, views, and KPIs. So when you're talking about these categories of general ledger, cash management, AR, AP, anything inventory control, orders entry, which also includes your invoices, orders, and so on, purchasing. So you have an abundance of information to start off from day one. And it's not only just financials, it's not just one currency, it's not just one company. So what you'll notice here at the top right is I'm actually connected to two environments of Intacct and consolidating them together, or two entities rather. And I can actually pull up, for example, one of these reports, and it'll automatically be a consolidated report. When you open this up right away, the end user will see a simple interface where they see their groups by account code and then by fiscal period. Pivots, nothing is pivoted yet, and then the columns that they want to see. I'm looking at GL transaction details, so what is the posting date? What is the transaction type? What was the batch number? And if there's a batch title, record number, and the currency. Right now we're looking at the base currency and the base amount, but we can also bring in the transaction currency as well, and the reporting currency if it's a third different kind. So this is a simple report. As you can see, I can drill down into my cash accounts, and I could drill down into the month that I want and see, okay, in month 2, and I've already filtered for 2024, mind you. So in month 2, we had these two transactions here, 2 lines, and I could see there's one worth 44,000 and one is worth 33,000. But maybe this is on multi-company. So let's go ahead in the panel to the right. And now as an end user, I can easily navigate and find where this record number lies. So I'll say dimensions, measures, and here, this is what we give out of the box. And it's very important. So if you have any user-defined fields like by business unit, by department, class, or transaction code, or whatever it is that you would like to do, just put this timer here. There you go. Ultimately, you get to see that you can bring in your user-defined fields. Also, if it's multi-company or multi-location or anything, you can drag and drop the company ID as a pivot. And what you'll see right away is that it tells you, look, you have 2 companies, CP1 CPY1 and CPY2, and those are the currency amounts for each particular company. We can also put that as a grouping level. And I could say, look, I only want to see my CPY1, so I'll drill down, and those are my accounts for company 1. Anything that is a dimension, whether it's a work center, whether it's a company ID, location ID, entity ID, whatever you need, you can group it, pivot, and shift it and use it in your report. The other thing that's really nice is that if I go back and, let's say, go back to my accounts, I can schedule to say, look, anytime I see my base amount, I would like a conditional formatting. So I want to say anytime the base amount is less than 0, we want it to be in a red font, for example, so it really sticks out, and maybe we'll put a little icon as well to be more visual. Once you click OK, you'll see any account with a negative value highlighted in red. So very, very easily done. You can apply this logic anywhere in the screen that you see. If I go even further, we do have all this information about batch and accounts and sub accounts and account types and so on in categories. We also have the measures, and the measures are anything that's quantifiable. So if it's an amount, a quantity, a percentage, that's where you're going to find them under measures, and they're typically used as a column, not as a grouping. So for example, we can bring in the reporting amount in CAD, drag and drop that in there, and we can see here I have my currency amount and my reporting amount. So it could be US dollar and Canadian dollar. Ultimately, what you can do is also filter. Let's say we only filter for month 2, where I have a better data set, I would say, and I'll drill down all the way to the last level. As I mentioned in the 3-minute presentation at the beginning, we're able to, with Nectari, drill down to the detailed granular data from any of your data source, not just the high-level summarized version. So we can get down and see the line items on an invoice, the transaction journal entries, and so on and so forth. Now, what do you do with this end result? You have a nice report for month 2 and every transaction that took place. In fact, you don't need, maybe we can add back the company in this case, so we'll make it a bit nicer. And instead, we'll remove the fiscal period because we won't need that necessarily. So now when I drill down and expand, we know it's month 2, we know it's 2024 data. What I'd like to do is again go to my panel on the right as an end user, not having to call anybody. I have a secure access to the data I'm allowed to see. Keep that in mind. Every user has limited access to only the restrictions that they want to see. That's how you could set it up. And you could do click sharing, multiple options to share and collaborate. So I can send this by an email, I can annotate something, I can, maybe bring attention to a certain value, add some text, send an email directly, and you'll see all my annotations will be there. Download it, attach it to a separate file, and email it out. Furthermore, we can also export. So export into multiple formats. At any given point, any view, report, dashboard we pull up, you can export to these various formats. And even if you're on a tablet device or your phone, you can do the exact same behavior. So now we're going to see our GL transaction detail report. Oops, let me just bring it over here from my other screen. All right, so now we can see not only do we have all the data plugged in now, although it's a static report, whereas before it was a dynamic live report, it still remains pretty dynamic because I can actually summarize it at the high level. And then I could see that, okay, well, we're balancing or we have everything at the right levels. Then I could drill down by account and I could drill down even further and see the transactions into it. And don't forget, we also applied some conditional formatting. We can also see that here as well, if it's compatible with Excel. Very easy to share, very easy to navigate. Now, with Nectari, what you get is a lot of properties and options. I can customize this report over many, many different aspects. However, one thing I want to mention is that all the data that we're looking at can be seen as a bar graph, as a line graph, even advanced sort of visualizations. For instance, if I look at a bullet graph, this could be a value that is perfect for, this could be a graphic that is perfect for looking at budget versus actuals, where your budget is the line and your actual is the bar. Or it could be your forecasted sales, for example, and those are the actuals, and so on and so forth. So a lot of hidden, but yet very powerful visualizations. We also have vector maps and Google Maps. If you want to plot your customers, you want to plot your anything, it's all reading your data, not just from Sage Intacct, but anywhere really, if you want. So any data source. And I'm showing you this list because there's over 100 different types of graphics that you can use depending on your type of report. And ultimately the result here, what you want to do is go look at some of the out-of-the-box dashboards, but also customize them to your own needs at a later time. So for example, if I pull up an AR dashboard, what you're going to see is different sections of data coming from Sage Intacct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sections of data are pulled and in different types of graphics. So for instance, this is right now a horizontal bar graph, this is a vertical one, and then I have a combination where I have the base percentages compared to the base amount overall. So I can easily navigate here. I can also select a specific company and only filter on CPY1 because everything is consolidated. Rather, let me do CPY2. It'll be more of a drastic change. Maybe not. Let me select the year, 2020. And you'll see the changes across the board. So everything kind of speaks to each other. You can also select a specific customer and then filter, and it'll filter the rest of the screen according to that. So everything on the screen is speaking to each other, and you can have a very powerful dashboard. The other thing that we do is, for example, for those customers who are non-for-profit, if you're talking about I have Intacct for NFP or a specific vertical, we also have integration with that as well. There's some CFO dashboards, there's some fundraising dashboards which tells you where your campaigns and where you got the your donations from. This is the kind of dashboards you'll get just as an NFP vertical, not necessarily just your Intacct reporting, but specifically for your business. So a lot more graphics here, and I am connected from home, so we'll see. There you are, just a few seconds more. And we see here that we have a full NFP dashboard with, like I said, contributions to campaigns, the trends, and I could see everything, and I can actually filter on a specific project like the disaster relief project, and everything will refresh accordingly. The final thing I want to mention is that we have multi-interface. Everything you've seen here works on the mobile device as well. But what if I want to work in more of an Excel type report? We have what we call workbooks. Again, all of this is the same data, is the same data models as before. So I'll filter for just month 2. Like I said, I have more data in that category. And you'll now see a very familiar interface. Now you're talking about ease of use or easy learning curve. There's very little learning curve here, very easy to learn. You get all your features of Nectari built into a Excel type interface. So if it looks familiar, it's because it is. If I look up here, I have my ribbon, my home, my insert, my Excel functions, all the way down to my analysis tab. But inside of it, I have a P&L with my actuals year to date, month to date, and I could see all the information accordingly. If I want, I can click on any of these values and say, okay, I would like to drill down and see how did I get this 8.038 million for my sales accounts in month 2 of P&L. And I could see all the transactions that took place. I'm able to drill down, and these are reports that are delivered out of the box. But if I drill down and scroll down, you'll see that 8.038 million value pop up, and these are all the transactions that correspond. And to go even further, we can click those hyperlinks and it'll jump directly to Sage Intacct. The integration with Sage Intacct is a very powerful point as well. So clicking on that specific account gets me here, and I could see what were the values that took place from the month to and prior, because that's what I filtered on. If I go even further inside Sage Intacct, I can see I have like advanced integration, like my dashboards. I can pull up Nectari again, this time in more of a mobile view. This is what you would see on a tablet. And I can go ahead and say, look, bring up my dashboard for AR. And then in a matter of seconds, with single sign-on, full transparency, you're now looking at a Nectari dashboard built in to Intacct. And not all this data has to come time's almost up. Not all this data has to come from Sage Intacct, but rather it could come from any part of your organizational data. And the final thing before I pass it off is just to show you another level of integration. When I'm looking at a specific AR, let's say we click on one of our customers, you'll notice here, whoops, I think I should have clicked the view button. Let me just go back. There we go. If I click the view button, You'll notice I have two extra tabs here amongst all the native tabs, and I could pull up an AR report for Nectari for the customer Ashburton reinforcing. And I also have my CRM connected as well because it's filtering on the same customer, and I could see the tasks that are due for this particular client. Um, we'll just let this finish loading, and then I'll pass it back to Steve here. So that's it. That's your Nectari built in even to the menu screens and pulling data from all your data sources.
That's great. Thanks, Nima. Now we'll pass things over to Alexi, and he can walk us through ZapBI.
All right, thank you very much. So let me just get this into a full screen mode here and just talk about Zap. So first things first, I'm going to just take you through all the different connectors that we actually can connect to. So we've got some cloud-based connectors, we've got some on-premise solutions, we've got some databases, we've got some files and others. So we can actually take data that's actually sitting in Excel and bring that in as a data source. Maybe you've got some budgets or you could some forecast information actually sitting in an Excel sheet and you would like to bring that in. This is what we talk about our tool, bringing it all together. Now, one thing to mention, if I'm just going to take, for example, look at something like Sage 300, and you'll notice that I've got what we call a deploy option. So meaning that this is actually pre-built. If I click on this and I go through literally these 5 steps, I'm going to get, in a very short space of time, I'm going to be able to have a data warehouse with a data set with all my data, and everything has been done for me. All the relationships have been created, all the calculations have been created, currency conversions actually been done. So what that does is it actually gives me a data warehouse that looks, let me just see if my screen can refresh here. It gives me a model that looks something like this. Now, one thing to mention with various different tools out, well, various different ERPs in the market is the table names can be quite cryptic. It becomes very, very difficult to understand what data I'm actually looking at when I want to build a report, when I'm actually just trying to even just make some changes to a specific report. So what we actually do is we take those and we transform this into a plain English state, and we call these pipelines. Now, from here, there'll be some level of transformation, and it's just all it is really just getting the data into the shape and form so that you can actually start using it for reporting. You can start building reports in Power BI. You can start putting this data into an Excel sheet. You can even actually connect something else via an API to Zap and actually get that data. All it is just giving you that data into the way that you want to see it. So just creating that flexibility. So I'm going to quickly just flip my screen here and just show you, just as a very, very quick, of all the different types of dashboards that you can get with the solution. There's financial dashboards, there's inventory. If you've got X3, for example, you might have manufacturing. We do with things like with production manager. We do things like purchasing, and it's not only just about giving you dashboards. It's also about giving you some reports that you can actually use. So I'm going to flip on to my next example here, and just take a business case that we've actually created. The power of having a data warehouse with a single warehouse and single cube is that you can now start cross-reporting across different modules. So in this example, I'm combining my AP and my AR. I'm also looking at things like there could be other payments coming from my banks for the GL, for example. We could even look at things like making assumptions, looking at other non-planned transactions, and bring this all together, and we can start using those now to start building something like this. This is what we call our 13-week cash forecast. So the data is there. It's just about how do I want to use that data to be able to build something like this. So my next example, I'm going to go into something like the daily sales. And again, this is something like we've looked at where we talk about, can I, first of all, combine my sales orders and my sales invoices so I can see what my current sales look like. And if I actually just go, and then I can actually see what my sort of future sales look like. So if I actually scroll down, you can actually see then taking those amounts, and I can actually start seeing like how my sales are actually looking for the next couple of weeks. Now, one thing I want to mention, if I look at this, is we can also have some conditional formatting. So if I wanted to have a question, again, this is all about what are those KPIs that you need to make make informed business decisions? So if I look at this particular week, I can either sort of expand it and I can see sort of how the week actually looks like. So look at the transactions in the week. And maybe I wanted to actually take that particular week and say, why was my margin actually at 18%? Let me actually go and drill down to see what were the transactions to which customers, for example. I can then actually have a look at this and say, okay, there was Cascadex was the quantity of 30. This is the amount of 309. And I could actually then go and drill down into the product. So as I'm doing that, I can now see sort of what the products were that actually made up that particular number. Now, if I wanted to look at this more at a invoice level, I could actually go and take that and drill down, open up this particular point and drill down to the actual transaction, down to the actual invoice level. So we will connect to the detail and be able to bring you all that, bring it all up. We'll aggregate all that information up, but you've always got that ability to drill down into the detail. Now, once I've actually done this, you can also export this into whatever type of report you want. Do you want to, you have a report in Excel? Do you want to have a something in PDF or CSV? Really, it's up to you. Okay, so I'm going to just click on the back button over here. Let's just go back. So Zap has the ability to automate reports. So either you want certain reports to be sent out via email automatically without needing to actually click on the email button. We can actually set that up on a what we call on a publication rule. And every morning, if I want to send my sales figures to my salespeople in Excel, the system will automatically take that report, export it to Excel, put it into an email, and send it via an email automatically. I can even have what we call conditional alerts. So I would like a specific, if a specific threshold is met within my data, let's say my stock levels drop below a certain number, I would like Zap to take this report and send it off to this particular department at that specific point in time. Now, this example is a report pack. It's a financial report pack where I've actually created all the reports that I need for my management pack, and Zap will automatically compile this, when I wanted to, and send it to my C-level executives on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. Now, just looking at this, we've got our sort of cover page, and you can see this was actually executed today at GMT. This is just one of our pre-built dashboards. This is what we call the CFO dashboard, just highlighting what is my positioning on my finance. So I can see my P&L metrics on the left-hand side, I can see my cash cycle metrics in the middle, and I can see my balance sheet metrics on the right-hand side. From there, I want to go through to maybe my next financial report, maybe looking at balance sheet, looking at profit and loss. And then if I go obviously to the profit and loss, I would like to have maybe an executive summary, just highlighting, how the business actually did. And I can actually template this. So at this point in time that this is generated, these numbers could actually be refreshed. And now I actually don't need to go and retype out this whole executive summary. So the next one I'm going to talk about here is the rolling P&L. So it's just, again, it's the format that you would like to see your report. Maybe I want to see how my P&Ls actually look like over the year and actually put a total at the end. We could also look at different types of dimensions. So maybe, I could look at either I want to have a P&L by project, or I want to see a P&L by a brand or a fund. This is the flexibility that you can actually do with a tool like this. And this is really, really small changes because the data set's already there. All this heavy lifting's already been done for you. The final one on this report pack is where we look at actually expenses, and we can actually now track down. We can create hierarchies. We can look at those hierarchies and all the way down to the account level, and we can then, start visualizing it in this particular way. So my final example, I'm not too sure how much time I have left, but this is where we have a tool like Power BI. We actually don't compete against the product. We do complement the product. But in this example, this is of a Power BI connecting to our data warehouse and being able to give you these analytics, which is also pre-built, by the way, in Power BI. So you could actually download this, connect it to the data warehouse, and you can actually sort of visualize it in this way. So just looking from a GL point of view, this is essentially like the CFO dashboard. We could also look at things like profit and loss. So for example, you'll see that this is all just bringing the information now quite quickly from my data warehouse, and being able to now highlight all of this information. So the flexibility of what you would like to use as a visualization tool is up to you, but we're creating that single source of the truth to give you that information in that particular way. So thank you very much. Steve, I'm going to hand over back to you. I don't know if I went over time there.
Perfect. You're fantastic. Yeah, Alexi, that's great. So now we'll just move along to Johnny and to DataSelf.
All the BI solutions, the three of us, we cover a lot of features, and it's very powerful. What I decided to present today here is focusing on the business user experience, how we can get business users to be more self-sufficient, more empowered when it comes to finding answers to their own questions without calling the business analyst. All the back end of the system, usually we like to do in a different presentation when we are focused on more technical people to show the server side solution. Because I'm focusing on the business user experience, in our framework, the three tools that most of our clients use to do reporting is Excel, Power BI, and Tableau. And all of the things I'm going to be showing here, they work about the same using any of these tools. One of the things we have seen is business users, they're usually on the move. So being able to access the reports and dashboards in a web browser, mobile device is very important. And that's the user experience I'm going to be focusing on. And I'm going to show also one of the most important things for business users, which is the ability to look at some data, some reports, and quite often they have different questions about, why this is happening. I want to see more details and change the framework as needed, do ad hoc analysis, doing by themselves. So I'm going to show some of these examples of ad hoc analysis. I'm going to start with a very simple one we call the slicer. I'm going to use a project budget slicer, but the framework works the same way for construction companies, distribution, manufacturers, nonprofit companies, food service, real estate. No matter what your business is, no matter what your role is in the company, you can use this slicer to let your business users find answer to the questions anytime and anywhere. So right now I'm looking at a project kind of data set. Very simple. Right now I'm looking some account groups, some cost revised in a certain period. And again, if you want to change the periods, you can select different years, press apply. With any BI solution, pretty much the reports running seconds. Our benchmark is reports must run under 10 seconds. If it's taking longer than 10 seconds, call us. We need to turn some dials to be sure. Reports will run really fast. In the whole idea of being able to drill down easily. Right now, I'm looking at a report showing that my sample database is in the future, 29. If I expand the year, I can go down to the quarter level. If I expand the quarter, I can go down to the month level. It could be weeks, could be fiscal periods. I can keep on drilling down to the day level. And if you care about the hour, minute, second, you could drill down all the way to that level. So very informative and very fast to drill down into details. Now, most importantly, what if the manager wants to see a different report? Right now we're showing an account group report. I want to see something else. That's what the slicers are for. And it's very simple. You just click the slicer. You see what options you have. Let's say I want to see a report by state. I choose a state, and now the report becomes a state report, no longer a, let me actually choose 2028. I have a little better data in that fiscal year. So now I have a report by state. And maybe I want to drill down now and see more details, what's happening in each state. I can just put the mouse over the report, go to the next level. Now it's breaking down by customer. Maybe I don't want to change. I go down more detail. And then all of these slicers, they come pre-configured with a bunch of settings out of the box. If it's project accounting, these are some of the slicers. If you look at revenues, it's different slicers. If you look at the inventory, so different modules, they have different members, but then you can customize, you can add user-defined fields. You can actually add an unlimited number of user-defined fields. As a business analyst, you can customize this list. As a business person, you just pick and choose. So if I want to see account group as my third drill down, I choose account group, and right there, the report becomes account group. I'm looking at a certain measure. What if I want to see other measures? You pretty much pick and choose, super simple. You select what you want, you press apply, and you see the result. This slicer functionality, that's it. That's the training. We show people how it works. If you got it, now you can do a lot of ad hoc analysis without calling other people. If you didn't get it, forget it. If you didn't get how simple it is to customize a report like this, it's usually people get it. And once you create these reports, you can save them. So next time you don't have to restart all over again. You can also automatically email them on schedule. Maybe you're going to send to all of your PMs every day at 1 a.m. You as a user, you don't need to call the business, the techies. You click subscribe, you select who user should receive, what the format is, a PDF, is it an image or not, set the time, click subscribe, and the email would automatically go to those people in that schedule. So this is pretty much the slicer, again, available in all sort of different functionality, very powerful for ad hoc analysis. The second is I mentioned about the AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning. I'm just going to give a little bit of a taste. There's a lot of things available, but just to show a little bit of a taste. Pretty much you use plain English to ask a question, and the tool will interpret what you asked, and if the answer is there, it will give you instantly and accurately. This is again around projects. I'm going to say I want to see my top 5 projects by revenues in 2022. So just write in plain English, press enter. Instantly, accurately, the tool will come up with an answer. In this case, all my projects by revenue, and the ones in blue are the top 5. The other ones are in gray. Okay, well, I want to break down by month now. You press by month, just type in English, press enter. And now the tool only took the top 5 and converted to a revenues by month in that period. And it chose to give me a chart. And maybe, I don't want to see a chart. I want to see like a text table, like in Excel. And I can quickly, in another 2 clicks, I could export to Excel and do something else in Excel. But AI and machine learning, the next generation, is amazingly powerful, and you can take advantage of that using the DataSelf framework. Next example is the dashboard capability. All dashboards are kind of flashy, no matter what the software is. But the ability to look into outliers and try to find why that number is too good or too bad is important, and this is how it goes. You look at a dashboard, in this case, is a year-over-year dashboard. You select the year, select the period, and then it shows totals this year, last year, by period, by geography, by customer, and by project in this example. But let's say I'm looking at my geography and I see that taxes is growing by 11%. What about why is so great? I want to see what's happening. I'm going to click taxes. Now the whole dashboard changes to only show taxes information. And when I look around, I see that even though I'm doing great in taxes, my 4th largest customer has a major decline. Until I drill down to the detail, that information was hidden. What about this customer? Why is declining? I'm going to select this customer now. The dashboard changes again to only show all KPIs only for this customer, totals, trend analysis, geography, in which projects are driving the decline. And maybe now I want to actually select the worst declining in revenues. And only now I want to drill down and see more details. I want to see every single, in this case would be invoices, with the costs, with the quantities and whatnot. So the ability to look at a high level piece of information and drill down and drill across until you find the outliers is very, very powerful. And tools like Tableau, Power BI, and Excel connected to a next generation data warehousing provide that kind of capability. Again, as I mentioned, we have more than 8,000 reports and dashboards pre-configured. I'm not going to show, just going to show a few. Cash flow projection, P&L, balance sheet, Gantt charts, AR and whatnot. There's a lot of things that you can have as a starting point. You can see in mobile devices, you can see in Excel, you can see embedded in other applications like Sage Intacct and Salesforce and other tools. And pretty much that was my presentation.
Fantastic, Johnny. Now, I invite anyone, if you have questions, please put them in the chat window. You can see that there is one here, which I think is maybe applicable to everyone. The question is, what is the implementation time for the solutions? So, Alexi, I see you're not on mute, so maybe we'll start with you. How long would it take for someone to get up and running with Zap?
Okay, very good question. Well, when we look at implementations, we look at normally this being done in hours and not months. So a typical implementation, we could say that within half a day that we can connect to your data and you can already start looking at some dashboards with your data. When we look at from an implementation, when we look at validating, we would normally validate something like sales, inventory, and your trial balance, and we can say that would be in the 30 hours. And then we can also take you through a bit of 10 hours design training, which that's really what you need to get started from a very short space of time.
Fantastic. Nima, for Nectari, what's the implementation look like?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So pretty much everything we saw today and everything out of the box, this is something that will plug and play from day one. So it's a half a day to a day to implement and connect. You can also consider maybe 2 days of training for the end users. Now, if there's somebody who wants more advanced training, who wants to be in the data models and connect to other data sources, that's maybe a bit more training. Or if it's with your partner, that could also be handed off to them, which could take a couple of extra days. But ultimately, it's a day to deploy. It's cloud-based solution, which I forgot to mention earlier. So it gets up and running right away. We connect to your Intacct and you have everything out of the box. Then customizations, it's all about just getting a bit of training. So 2 days of training after that.
Perfect. And Johnny, what about DataSelf?
I'm going to repeat what the other said. It's very similar. The out-of-the-box deployment also is done within a day. Pretty much, after the out-of-the-box deployment, people can connect to their system and see their data. When it comes to validation, we have all sort of different needs. Some clients that they're already familiar with, Tableau and Power BI, they just take over and they need no support from us. People that don't have yet, they're data geeks in-house that need to learn how to do the backend. Then training is usually 1 to 2 days for customizing the basics of the framework. One of the benefits of DataSelf is pretty much our whole framework is industry standard technology. A lot of the support in DataSelf is just Google and ChatGPT. If you know how to Google and ChatGPT around BI tools, Tableau, Power BI, Excel, and SQL, you can pretty much customize DataSelf with little support from us. Even though a lot of the knowledge to do the job is knowing Sage Intacct and Sage 300 and X3 and how that data structure converts into a BI framework. And that sometimes is not only in Google and ChatGPT, you call us, and then we are the experts to assist with that process.
Fantastic, great. So I guess just one final question here, I guess, for each of you. What is your favorite or best feature? So, Johnny, you want to lead us off with that one?
Yep. To me, from the beginning of my career, the best feature is the one that gives decision makers the most power, because at the end of the day, BI is all about decision makers making more informed decisions anytime and anywhere. And actually, I'm going to say 2 features because right now in our client base has been the 2 most used. One is the slicer that I showed today. People can find answer to their questions anytime, anywhere, very easily. And the second is the whole AI machine learning that is becoming so much more useful, and also many business people are taking advantage of it to find answer to their questions without calling for experts. So, sorry, 2 features.
Great. Nima, how about you?
Yeah, for Nectari, it's time and tested true for us across all different product lines, but now especially in Intac, it's the fact that it has multi-interface. You can use the web, you can use the dashboards, but you can also go into the Excel and the Excel web workbooks that we showed in the demo, easy to jump to Intac, being integrated. I think that's still extremely popular, and I think it's always an advantage to have multiple choices of viewing your data in a different way, not just dashboards and not just a drill down view, but also the web workbook, which is essentially in Excel in the web screens.
Great, thanks. And Alexi, favorite kind of or best feature that people like about Zap?
Look, I think the thing that really gets people excited is the report packs, the way that you can automate the reports. From my side, one of my most favorite features, which I didn't show today, is the stuff that you can actually do in the data warehouse. So, for example, I'll give you an example. We have a thing called the external lookups, which is a step, and it's all about just transforming the data. So it's just taking, we'll take like a geocoding that you want, for example, so you want longitude and latitude, so you can build the map in a dashboard. And all it's going to do is it's going to take the address, it's going to pass it on to Azure Maps. Azure Maps service is going to give back the longitude and latitude, and then you can actually use that data now to build your reports. It brings that into it. So that's the feature, and then the part that you can actually now mix and match different data sources, different ERP systems to start consolidating and viewing your data. So I thought I'd give you about 3 instead. Yeah.
All done. Great. So yeah, with that, I'd just like to say thanks to all 3 of you, to DataSelf, Nectari, and ZapBI for being here and showing us their solutions. I think are all great products. Their contact information is there on the screen for those that are interested in following up and doing more of a detailed demo. And then again, we've got the contact information for Bass here. If anyone's interested in any of the solutions, we invite you to please, reach out to your account manager, or you can send us an email at marketing@bass.com. So with that, everyone enjoy the rest of your day. And once again, thanks to all our panelists for being here.
It was a pleasure. Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Thank
much.
you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.